So we've got our first Hydroid Crisis cast of the match on 5. Gonna get a 5/5 flyer and some extra cards. Opponent says, what the heck is going on over there? It's a need to know kind of thing. X for 10. Draw 5 cards, make a 10/10 creature. Yes, this seems totally fair. We also totally are gonna get there next turn, for sure. And that's the upside of playing this version over Amulet, is like, you don't have a choice to just put a lethal Titan into play here, so you always have to go for the Colossus and hope it works. Hello, and welcome everybody. Today, I am sick. And no, it's not just because I've chosen to eschew Primeval Titan from Amulet. It's also just because I've actually just literally gotten illness. You can probably hear it in my voice, so hopefully I can maintain the energy that I usually have. Today, we're playing a massive brew. We're playing what I'm affectionately calling Cultivator Amulet. We've completely cut the card Primeval Titan entirely, and there are 2 reasons for this. One, I'm living in the hypothetical reality that Primeval Titan gets banned in Modern. Is that the death knell for Amulet? I don't think so. I think there are other big, fun things you can be doing with Amulet of Vigor and Bounce Lands. But secondly, just because it's fun, why not? The format's a little stale to me, and I like to do things to mix it up. And I will say, despite the fact that I'm calling this Cultivator Amulet, I really think that you'll find in this league that the card that steals the show is Hydroid Crisis. I've played a couple leagues with this list and managed to go 3-2 and 4-1 in both of them. And from the very first iteration, I had a couple copies of Crisis in the sideboard, and I've ended up moving all of them to the main because Crisis is just insane, so hopefully we'll be able to see that. You'll notice that we're not playing the one-of utility lands like Slayer Stronghold, Bajuka Bog, Radiant Fountain. Basically, we're no longer a land tutoring deck. We do have one Talari West for the purpose of finding it with Expedition Map. Same with a Boseiju, for example. But our main plan here is to just ramp out a Cultivator Colossus, and then, thanks to Untaps with Amulet or floating mana with Crumbling Vestiges, we're able to play more spells after that. So, Cultivator with a single Amulet in play will usually generate some mana, maybe put a second Amulet into play, and hopefully do it all again with Dryad or Cultivator and just get a bunch of Valakut triggers. It's kind of our combo kill here. But in the worst case scenario, we just float a bunch of mana thanks to Amulet Untaps and cast a giant Hydroid Crisis and gas back up, pay for a Summoner's Pact next turn perhaps, and just have a gigantic board state and a refilled hand. So, anyways, the sideboard is what you would expect, with the inclusion of 2 copies of Unlicensed Hearse. One of my followers on Twitter, by the name of Dead On Board, or Zen Buddhist Gamer on Twitter, they let me know that this card is bonkers and I should be buying copies of the card Unlicensed Hearse, and eventually I caved. So here I am playing a couple copies of it. Hopefully they'll perform, and I don't really have much else to say about this admittedly very crazy list. We're going to be putting Cavern on Beast into play a lot of times, and I don't know what else to say. I'll see you guys in match 1 here. Alrighty, let's hop in here for match 1 and get this Cultivator show started. On the play, love it. And we have a turn 1 Saga into Amulet hand. We've got multiple bounce lands to go with Colossus. I mean, this is definitely a keep. One thing I will point out is that oftentimes this deck is a little slower than a typical Amulet list, so sometimes leading on Urza Saga is not correct here, but considering we're on the play, we've got bounce lands rolled up, we've got the Colossus already ready to go, I'm just going to go ahead and play Saga Amulet here and ignore getting the construct value, especially since our opponent can't get to Blood Moon in time for us not to get the second Amulet, so just casting a Colossus here on turn 3, maybe? I don't know if we'll have enough mana for that. Oh, the Prismatic ending our Amulet. Well, that's not great news for us. Azusa is pretty good news, though. I guess we're playing out the Valakut in passing. Yeah, now we're getting punished for not getting the construct value, but it is what it is. Also, you may have been wondering, looking at the deck list, why there are 4 copies of Selesnya Sanctuary in the deck. Oh, now I think about it, they probably should have been Golgari Rot Farms. Oh well. But the reason is because this deck is very bounce land hungry, as opposed to the usual Amulet list that is wanting to find like exactly 1 bounce land or maybe 2. This particular deck list almost always wants to have access to multiple bounce lands, and we're also more likely to leave a bunch of bounce lands in play, thanks to needing to ramp up to 7 mana, so we'll go ahead and get our Gruul Turf into play here. As I mentioned, leaving bounce lands in play is one thing that we are looking to do with this deck list, so I'm going to leave 1 in play here for the time being. If our Azusa survives, next turn we can Colossus and have 3 lands in play. If our Azusa dies, we'll have up to 5 mana with Grazer. I feel like there's a pretty strong likelihood our Zeus is not going to survive here, so I think we should go ahead and Grazer down the Valakut, go Cavern on Beast, put down Valakut. It's a little bit of a waste if our Azusa doesn't die, but I don't think we can realistically rely on that. I guess we don't have to play the Grazer, we can just play the Valakut, because like I said, I expected our Azusa to die there, but then it didn't, so we'll do this. Next turn, we can Colossus, even if they kill Azusa now. Think. Yeah, because we should have enough green. Oh, and we have Cavern on Beast as well, so we'll definitely have enough to Colossus. If we want to go for Hydroid Krasis instead, we can, because we have the blue with the Cavern. Well, we're rewarded for playing out our land drops, at the very least. Mountain. Our opponent's shown us Valakut, so probably a 4-color Scapeshift deck, I would assume. Dryad's not a bad one. We could use this turn to play Krasis for 3 and Pact, but I don't really love that exactly. We can Krasis next turn, so it's probably fine to do this. Just go ahead and play out our Dryad and get our swings for 1 in. Well, this is an example of why Krasis is so good in this deck, is because right now Cultivator wouldn't really be doing much, but Krasis is refilling our hand and putting a threat on the board, so little mini Sphinx's Revelation going on. There's our 3rd color from our opponent. No green yet, which is interesting. Nahiri the Harbinger. Okay, they exile our Dryad. Not a big deal. Rule Turf. So now we get to Krasis for 1 additional, which is nice. We are going to go ahead and cast Hydroid Krasis here, and we're going to Cavern Naming Beast yet again. And of course, the blue here for Beast is fine, because Hydroid Krasis happens to be a Beast, so no need to float another uncounterable mana. So we've got our first Hydroid Krasis cast of the match on 5. Gonna get a 5/5 flyer and some extra cards. And at this point, we're not playing out additional lands because we have Colossus mana in play already, so... Is there a point in attacking Nahiri? I don't really think so. Like, they could kill our Hydroid Krasis. I think I'm just gonna attack them. I don't really see a reason to do one thing or the other here, so... So, now that we've got a Krasis in play, our opponent will have to deal with it. Opponent says, what the heck is going on over there? You know, it's a need-to-know kind of thing. But what I was going to say is, now that we have a threat in play off of our Krasis, and we have some extra lands in hand, if we draw a Colossus or a Summoner's Pact, then we should be able to get there. And another Krasis actually is going to draw us a bunch of cards and gain us a little bit more life as well, so... Definitely playing a little bit of the slower, grindy game with this, as opposed to what you would usually play with the Amulet. And definitely going to put this... They bounce Krasis with Teferi? That is bold. That is very bold of them. I mean, we could just replay it immediately. Let's not lose to our Summoner's Pact. How about that? Saga's not a bad one. So we can play land Krasis for 4. Draw another 2 cards. I'm okay with that. Sure, let's do it. And then we have Saga to make some additional threats, so... And of course, powered by Cavern here, actually fixing our mana. Cavern Naming Beast is just exactly what we always wanted it to be. In this list, at least. Draw another 2 cards, seems good. More lands. Hey, that's fine with me. Colossus coming in clutch when we draw it. And let's get Teferi out of here, I guess, because that does matter. Nahiri hopefully will not be too long for this world. Our opponent is eventually getting to Valakut territory here, but... Now I think about it, I'm not exactly sure what our opponent's doing over here. If we draw a Dryad, we'll have plenty of land drops to get some Valakut triggers, including a second Valakut, because we happen to play 3 of them. I played 4 in the last list, but I just, before I recorded this, decided to cut one for a Tularia West, because it happened too often that I would map and want to find a Tularia West, but not be able to, so... And the 4th Valakut, not quite as relevant. And now we just want to top deck a Cultivator Colossus at this point, and or a Dryad, and then we'll be good here. Dryad probably just wins us the game, to be honest. They got a Dwarven Mind creature that can't chump block our flying Hydroid Krasis, so that's cool. Oh, they Prismatic for 2 to exile it. Sad times. Alright, Dryad. Oof, they're playing Creativity Titan. Okay, I see what's going on. Makes sense now. Yeah, I mean, Dryad still wins us this game, so Pact or Dryad off the top does it. Otherwise, we're probably dead. So Amulet not really doing much here, sadly. I mean, I guess we'll play it. And I don't think we're playing Grazer. Let's see. They attack, get, like, Valakut Mountain, play Mountain. That's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 18 damage. Blocking 3 won't matter. That's if they play a third Valakut. Or if they have a Mountain in hand as well. I don't really think the Grazer matters, but floating mana after a Colossus resolves could matter, so I'm actually just going to pass here. The fact that Krasis dies to things like Prismatic Ending and March a little too easily is annoying, and like Fatal Push. Otherwise, it's a pretty solid card, so we'll see what they search for here. Ironically, we probably couldn't beat a Boseiju, but I assume they don't play bounce lands or anything like that anyway, so we get to yield to our opponent's Valakuts. No, we're not dead, so that means we get to untap, and drawing Dryad or Colossus is potentially just lethal. They're exiling the Saga. Okay. We'll just make a creature. Sure. I guess they would have been 3/3s. 4/4s, really, so they would have been 1 point away from being dead, but... Oh, and we're dead. Well, we couldn't have beat that, so let's see if we would have drawn it. Won't let us. Draw a card. Hydroid Krasis. Who knows what that would have done. Well, let's go to game 2 here. They're playing Creativity Titan. I don't know that we really want any of these cards against them, to be honest. I don't expect them to be playing Dryad, really. So Dismember's not really the move here. Hearst seems pretty useless. Force doesn't seem to matter. We could have Boseiju in case they have, like, chalices in the sideboard. Just so we can be able to unlock our Summoner's Pacts. I'm going to trim 1 Saga in the case of Alpine Moon, and also because it gets bounced or exiled by their Planeswalkers, but Saga's not bad. Krasis is decent here, actually, because the drawing cards matters. I guess we just trim a Grazer, since they're probably not playing Ragavan. In fact, that would be really bad with their creativities, so probably can trim Grazer pretty safely. We have another Saga into Amulet hand. We'll keep. Need to find one of those bounce lands and a threat, but not too bad. We can Grazer in Saga and immediately start to get some token value, so it's probably the move. We're going to want Cavern on Beast anyway, so I kind of feel like we ought to just play it out. I don't really see a reason not to. Put in our Saga and pass. I'm not going to play this Amulet until the last possible second, probably, to play around Prismatic. Try on pass. Love to see it. Bounce land or threat. Cool. Bounce land, we will take it. We'll just play Forest and pass and make a token. Now we just need to draw a Colossus. I mean, we'd only have 2 lands to go with it, but double Amulet means that we'd be able to cast most of the things that we could draw, so... If we hit a 3rd land off of a Colossus, we'd be able to potentially chain into a 2nd Colossus, which would be interesting. And of course, it has the potential to just be insane if we continue to hit a bunch of bounce lands off the top and then a Colossus, then we just probably went on the spot, so... It's a little less, I guess guaranteed would be the right word. We would play 8 Simic Growth Chambers if we could. Although we can even cast the Krasis if we draw it. Ice to tap our forest. Well, let's just make another creature. And there's our Krasis. Interesting. We'll get an Amulet here. Do we even want to play a land? I don't think we want to play the Besage out, although I guess it does help us with Krasis next turn. We can play like Azusa into Krasis and potentially do a lot of damage. Plus we get to get in for an extra point of damage if we play our Amulet out. So I am going to play the Besage. It's a little debatable, but... Clock for 4. Take that. See what they have. They just exile an Amulet here. That would be... I mean, it denies us of a lot of cards with Krasis, but... Oh, they hit a token. Well, now this Krasis is going to absolutely demolish them. Yeah, you got it. Sure. Sure thing. Ha! And the Simic Growth Chamber? Oh my gosh. Alright, well, we'll play a land. We'll hit 5 so we're not yielding to our Amulet, and then we'll place some Amulet triggers on the stack. And I actually am going to leave the land in play here. And now we'll just play a gigantic Hydroid Krasis. As we do. We'll see how much mana we have, and if there's a chance that we want to leave any mana up, if we were, like, to draw something crazy. Let's see, so we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we could Krasis, leaving 3 floating. That would be 9 total mana, so Krasis for 7 to draw 3 cards. And if we drew exactly a Dryad or, like, an Explorer, we could potentially cast a Colossus. I don't think that makes any sense. I'm going to keep a bounce land in hand here, though. Yeah, I'm just going to max out on our Krasis, I think. X for 10. Draw 5 cards, make a 10/10 creature. Yes, this seems totally fair. We also totally are going to get there next turn, for sure. Rin down to... Actually... Do we attack Rin? I don't think we do, actually. Let's just go face. This puts them dead to the Krasis next turn, and then we just cast 3rd Amulet into Colossus into gigantic Krasis. Seems pretty freaking good. This is insane. This is what I love about this deck. And again, like I said, the one that almost always steals the show is Hydroid Krasis. Our opponent has no clue. They have no clue. Oh, Dryad too. Oh, we were in Valakut. We were so getting there. Holy. Okay. Yeah, let's just do that again. Do we want the extra Saga? I feel like Saga's not bad here, and Grazer's not great. We'll go like this. Also, not convinced that the Besajus are doing anything, but, you know, is what it is. Oh, we got a ton of threats. No Amulet, no Saga. We get to play a turn... No, we don't even get to turn 2 Explore. Yeah, this is definitely a mulligan. This hand's definitely a keep. Probably bottoming redundant Valakut, I think. Extra green source might matter for casting Colossus on time, so... Are we even playing Saga on 1 here? I feel like we don't necessarily have to. Azusa is a great draw. We could play Valakut into Saga into Fetch for Basic Force, activate, and then potentially just Colossus them all in 1 turn when we play our Amulet and search for another one. I'm okay with this. Play like Azusa into Colossus. Even if the Azusa were to die, it would still be +1 mana with double Amulet, so pretty okay. Oh no, Renin 6. Oh no! Breeding Pool is an interesting pickup, because it's an additional land for Colossus. So basically, at this point, lands are great. Hopefully they don't Teferi bounce our Saga. That would be pretty tragic. Maybe we should have played Amulet here so that in case they do bounce or get rid of our Saga in some way, that we could still play turn 3 Azusa here. There's Teferi. Probably should have played out the Amulet there, but, you know, whatever. Crisis. Okay. Well, we'll make the play this turn that we should have made last turn. Giving our opponent a lot of time, but luckily their creativity just finds a Titan, and that's not as bad for us as Archon probably would be. Unfortunately, we're one turn off of our Saga. We just needed them not to have the interaction. Or, I guess we needed to really play out the Amulet there. Should have thought about it a little more. Prismatic ending. Whatever. Now, the question is, are we playing out the Azusa? Fetch for basic forest, play Azusa Breeding Pool, perhaps? Another bounce land is a fantastic top deck. Huh. 4, 5, 6. Our Azusa will have to survive no matter what for us to be able to cast Colossus. They didn't have creativity that turn either. Interesting. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play Azusa. If we play out a bounce land here, it's worse with our Colossus. Oh, they have Remand? Okay. That's also fine, actually. We'll still be able to cast Cultivator this upcoming turn, even despite the Remand. Let's see if they creativity in the double Titan here. Oh, nope. No Dwarven Mine, huh? Okay. I guess they could have another Remand? Swing one. I respect the dedication, opponent. I respect it. Hopefully our Cultivator just, like, happens. I don't think that does anything. Unless they have a Remand. But I'm not playing around second Remand. We can't really afford to. Second Ice might do something. I mean, we're still not doing anything. I guess another Amulet would be our best draw. We can play Azusa and Krasis on 1. I don't think that's the move. We are going to play Azusa out and leave some land drops in play in case they have an answer for this Amulet also, so... We are going to get our Breeding Pool into play as fast as possible, too. If our opponent had mana up, it would have been correct to play around a removal spell and play Forest into Breeding Pool, but I didn't do that because our opponent wasn't going to do anything. I just know too well. They weren't going to do anything. This Rin Emblem is definitely clocking us, though. I guess now they can flashback Remand. Play land. We can play Krasis into Remand, so that even if they Remand it, we still get to draw all the cards. See if our Azusa or Amulet survives. Nope. Yeah. Unfortunately, playing into the Teferi that turn is probably costing us the game here. If we had played out Azusa one turn earlier, I think this game would have been a bit different. And we still get to play Krasis for 3 here, at the least. 4 if we play out a bounce land, so... It's not over. They just Prismatic it, but that will cost them a card. Explore, probably not the move. We would rather float red mana, I think, although I don't know if there's any real reason. I'm keeping the Gruul Turf for Colossus purposes, and then we're just going to cast a big Crisis here. Remand this, I dare you. Another Colossus, huh? We get to play the Valcad out here if we want to. I don't think that we want to, though, to be honest, so we'll just pass. Our opponent could just creativity here as well, and then we're probably dead, so assuming they plus to fairy, which it looks like they did. Looks like they maybe don't have it. Prismatic, yep. Pitching a land. That's one less remand that they can cast, so I'm okay with that. Bounces Usa, sure. I mean, at this point, they're just looking for creativity, so I can understand it. 7. Our Colossus has to hit, like, Crumbling Vestige, at least one Crumbling Vestige and Amulet for us to really do anything this game, I think, so. They also played out a land, which is interesting to me. I don't know how much I love that. We are just going to slam Colossus. Nothing we can really do. Another Dwarven Mine, huh? Creativity? Oh, just hard casting Sarah's Emissary, huh? I wonder what type they're going to choose. Creature. Well, that lets us still win with Valakut plus Dryad, so we have a way. Grazer is interesting if we find an amulet. That's exactly 7, so we'll Colossus here. Put in as many lands as our deck will allow. Apparently it's just 2. Oh my. Alright, and no amulet either, huh? Well, we can't block this. I think we still want to keep Bounce Land in hand. I guess we're passing? I mean, we can pact for a Dryad and start doing Valakut things, so we technically have lethal next turn. Assuming we're not dead. Sarah's Emissary, huh? I guess this doesn't protect their Planeswalkers, so we could attack their Teferi with the Cultivator for whatever that's worth. We can't block anything, though. They should not have attacked with the Crab. Technically. Yeah, but Valakut just kills them, so unless they have an answer for Dryad. Unless we draw an Amulet, we don't really have a way to Colossus into Dryad and tempt them to answer the Colossus, so another land, huh? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So if we want to try to cast a Dryad this turn, we Colossus, we have to draw exactly Amulet or Crumbling Vestige off of 2 cards at least, which is technically possible. They have 4 cards. They probably just remand here. I guess if remand doesn't stop them, they have to have an actual answer. They did plus to fairy, though, so maybe we should. I mean, we don't really have a turn to wait, but. Huh. We could either go for the Dryad or Colossus and try to hit Amulet and or Crumbling Vestige. I think just going for the Dryad is correct here, unfortunately. Are they going to remand this? Spell Pierce. That doesn't really change anything, I don't think. We're glad that they had Spell Pierce. Still doesn't even stop remand. Or that doesn't even, like, make us weak to remand, so. Oh, they can retrace it, I guess. We'll get Dryad. Play Dryad. Play land 1, land 2, kill them. Remand it, please. Okay. They're still dead to Dryad if they don't have the answer, so. Or another land, I guess. Yep, they have more remands. Ren Emblem, am I right? Sure. Well, I think we play out a land now. And we'll kill Teferi so they don't have instant speed prismatic ending during our turn. And just hope they don't bolt us to death or something. Of course, the reason we're not attacking them is because they have protection from creatures, so we can't damage them. If fire, that does not kill us. Oh, I guess if they retrace it, it does. We'll pitch. What are we pitching here? I guess expedition map for fetch land could be relevant. We'll pitch explore. Probably not casting explore. Lots of things kill us here. Oh no, we're dead already. My bad. I miscounted. What am I doing? They have 9 damage on board. Cool. Well, we definitely lost that one because of playing into the Teferi, so that's fine with me. That does, unfortunately, however, make us 0-1, as seen in the record indicator below. We did get to see the power of casting a massive Hydroid Crisis, and that will not be the first time we do that during this league, I guarantee you. Alrighty, let's hop in here for match 2. On the draw. It was bound to happen. It's only fair. Huh. And we have an awkward hand. We need to draw lands, but this has everything else. We're definitely going to keep it. With Dryad, this allows us to potentially pack for Hydroid Crisis if we have to. Our opponent mulligans to 5, which is admittedly great for us. I will say, this version of the deck, without Titan, doesn't really mulligan particularly well, so... Another bounce land is actually exactly what we wanted, so... I guess we're supposed to play Grazer here to play around Ragavan. We have to leave a bounce land and play anyways, so... This also plays around Prismatic Ending, so... We'll put our Hydroid Crisis mana into play and pass. Excuse me. I might have to stop playing pretty shortly here because I'm starting to have issues with my throat, so... Ha! They had to bolt the Grazer. Ha! Nerd. Got him. Take that. Let's see if they dash the Ragavan or no. Bird. It's bird time, huh? Well, this lets it... Oh! Okay. So double Amulet, Sanctuary for 4, Dryad down to 1, Sanctuary up to 5, Azusa down to 2, Sanctuary up to 6. Huh. No, Azusa lets us play 2 additional lands, so we'll have 10. We can Colossus with 2 lands and double Amulet. I mean, I'm in. I'm definitely doing it. You can't stop me from doing this. We even have blue mana thanks to the fact that we have a growth chamber we can pick up, so this is actually just perfect. Our opponent got jebaited. They thought that we let on Grazer because we didn't have Amulet, but little did they know. We had double Amulet just up our sleeve here. I think we are going for Colossus here as opposed to Hydroid. Just because this guarantees that we don't die to our pack trigger, of course, and potentially goes even wilder. We might be able to cast Hydroid Crisis this turn also, so, you know. Depends on if we just draw, like, double Grazer or some stupid like that. But we are definitely going for the Colossus here. And that's the upside of playing this version over Amulet, is like, you don't have a choice to just put a lethal Titan into play here, so you always have to go for the Colossus and hope it works. We've hit a ton of lands, and the Colossus, too! Nice, nice, okay. We'll say done there. Stack the, this here. I kind of wish we had hit a Crisis instead, actually, but our opponent scoops. Okay, well, you know, good on them, I guess. They won't get to know what's coming, and we get to bring in Hearse, and Dismembers for Magus, and Endurance for their graveyard. And more Cavernous Holds, because why not? And Boseiju for Blood Moon, but not Force until we see it. Explorer's bad against Pierce, and Counter Magic in general, so we can just cut it. We just always play Cavern on Beast every time, because Colossus and Krasis are both beasts. It's so nice. Alright, what are we cutting here? We can trim on Sagas, but this deck is pretty Saga-friendly, so... Breeding Pool is good for our Krasis. Azusa is not fantastic. Definitely trim on Azusa's. Expedition map is unlikely to be relevant. In fact, Amulet's not that great either. I could see trimming an Amulet. Although, it is better with Colossus. We could trim a Colossus or two because of Dress Down. What else? Valcut seems good. This is a long enough matchup that we're likely to find our bounce lands, so I think trimming a Sanctuary or two makes sense. And Summoner's Pact seems good. Having double Colossus means that we can potentially chain multiple Colossuses together, so that's nice. We pretty much just win this matchup off of Hydroid Crisis anyways, though. Trim a second Saga. I don't see why not. Our opponent got yikesed there for sure. Completely got the game stolen from them. All because they wanted to play a silly bird. We have Turn 1 Grazer for their Ragavans. We get to put a Dryad in play on turn 2. And we have mana for Krasis all rolled up. Even if they counter our Krasis, we still get the Sphinx's Revelation. So, like, we absolutely don't care about this matchup. It's fantastic. We have Boseiju to answer Blood Moon or Chalice. They probably don't have Chalice, but, like, Blood Moon would be a thing to answer. And we are going to put it into play on turn 1 for this Grazer, because I'm not taking the 2 damage from Breeding Pool. You just can't. You can't make me do it. Put Grazer into play, and then get one of these bounce lands into play, because they always enter tapped anyways, and we even trimmed an Amulet, so getting tap lands into play is very important. Our opponent has Gigantha. I don't know if that was in game 1 or not, but they go ahead and just bolt it now, huh? They love this play, don't they? We might have to hold up Boseiju on this upcoming turn instead of jamming Dryad, which also plays around Counterspell anyways, so it's probably okay. But it's something we need to be considering. Summoner's Pact. Well, that'll find a Krasis eventually. Using this turn to play out a tap land, I guess. So we'll just play the Talaria Western Pass. Not jamming Dryad into Counterspell, and also holding up Boseiju for Blood Moon. If they have Magus, then, like, whatever. We can't just lose to Magus. That's a thing that happens, and it's okay. We also have Dismembers to draw, or Basic Forest to play Dryad, so not the biggest deal. Aha, see, they wasted their mana. So much value. Alright, let's see the fetch for Basic Island play Blood Moon. You know you want to. Look, there's Basic Island. Here's the Blood Moon. Not Magus, not Magus. Ah, it's Magus! Jeez. Okay, well, unfortunately we can't Boseiju our own land for a Basic Forest, because Boseiju does say opponents. Krasis. A little late there, Mr. Hydroid Krasis. We'll play out our Simic and pass, and now we just have to hope to top deck Basic Land or Dismember. Of course, our opponent doesn't have double blue, so they're just YOLOing this Magus and hoping that it wins. Which I respect, I guess. Oh, Manamorphose. When did they start playing Manamorphose in this deck? I guess that does let them cast Counterspell if they absolutely have to. Or they can just blow them off all right now. Because why not? Yeah, when I said all of them, I meant literally, like, there's only one more Manamorphose in the deck, and they're just going to cast it. Ooh. Ooh for them, because they didn't get the cast trigger. Punt. Should have played the Shredder first, even though they probably drew it off of one of these Manamorphoses. We can still play Unlicensed Hearse. Endurance. Okay. We'll just play out a bounce land here. Get our Blood Moon acceleration while we can, and then hopefully draw Dismember or Basic Forest. We can Endurance them if we have to, but sadly it's not going to stay around. Mutagenic Growth of the Magus. Okay. Maybe they're playing Stormwing Entity? It took me a while to remember that. Yeah, and Lava Dart. I guess they're on, like, a Prowess deck. I don't know, this is a weird hybrid. I mean, we're getting clocked, that's for sure. We can Endurance away their graveyard if this Channeler becomes a problem. Basic Forest or Dismember. That is worse than a Basic Forest. So we'll play out Breeding Pool, and we'll pass. and maybe have to endurance them. Luckily, if we can get a Hydroid Krasis into play, it probably brings us back into this game. So, like, if we can dismember Krasis for a large number, then the life gain might be, in and of itself, enough to stabilize, so... How do they not have Delirium with 10 cards in the graveyard? They have instant land artifact. They just don't have, like, sorcery, I guess, or creature. This is 5 damage. Still lets us dismember if we need to. Lava Dart. So this is now 7 damage. We'll let these Shredder triggers go. I guess we let the Channeler go too, and if they happen to turn Channeler online, then we'll Endurance. Out of necessity, of course. 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus the one from the Lava Dart 7 puts us to 5. We could go to 1 to dismember. Oh, they milled over a Lava Dart, huh? Well, nothing we can do about that. Okay. Well, we'll just take the damage, I guess, if that's all it is. Casting the other Lava Dart would have potentially let them activate Channeler, but that's okay. Right? Anything good. Dryad is not anything good. Cool beans. Alright, well, we know they have Magus. That does not mean that they don't have Blood Moon, but... Anyways, they're unlikely to have Dress Down, so Cultivator's not as bad. Although Krasis is still better. Saga's pretty awful. Azusa's not that great if they're playing more of a prowessy type of build. We could cut the other 2 Sagas to bring some other things in. Like, maybe Saga's better. Maybe one Azusa's better than a Saga, but... Against a prowessy deck, we definitely want the Amulet, though, so... Do this. 30 lands. Endurance should be good against them. Alright, we'll go this way. Unlicensed Hearse should be very good against them as well, since it's a threat we can cast through Magus. It's not really a threat exactly, since we can never crew it if we don't have creature in play, but, you know. Alright, we get the turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 Dryad, or Endurance, depending on if we put Amulet on Elemental or not. I mean, it's definitely a keep, though. We get to play turn 2 Dryad, leave all of our lands in play, and have turn 3 Colossus with no lands. That'd be a thing we can do. Or we could just wait a turn and be chill with it. Play Endurance to interfere with their plans. I am just going to Cavern on Beast, because there's no way they're countering our Dryad on turn 2 with only 1 mana, so I'm not afraid of a Mana Tithe, for example. Also, I guess they can't be playing Counterspell because of Gigantha, so there's that. They could have Mana Leak. I've seen that in the sideboard of some blue-white Hammer Time decks, so it wouldn't be that crazy. Our opponent is reading our turn 1 Amulet of Vigor. Yeah, not playing Cavern on something that's endurance relevant, because we're just going to slam Dryad on turn 2 here. As it is, we're not really beating Magus or Blood Moon anyways, so being able to just power out Colossus on turn 3 might be our best way to win here. We'll see. We'd like to draw lands for Colossus, or ways to beat Magus / Blood Moon, but probably Magus. There we go. Dismember is exactly what we're looking for, so we'll take that. We'll vote with a Cavern not naming, not for its type, since we're just playing the Dryad here, and then we'll play Cavern naming Beast yet again. So our Dismember covers Magus. Endurance covers Graveyard Shenanigans, and also blocks their Ledger Shredder if they attack into an Endurance, which they might do. It's not obvious this Cavern Soul taps for green for anything, but it does thanks to Dryad ability. Their Counterspell won't work, by the way. We can go land, Colossus, and if we top deck a land, we'll have at least 2 redraws, which is good enough for me to want to cast it, I think. And get it into play at the very least. Bird? Ancient Grudge. Whatever. I don't love that, but it is what it is. Another Endurance, huh? Well, we're just gonna play an endurance this turn and play out our land drops and do what we gotta do. We're clocking them now. And we still have mages covered, so that is if they ever let this Civic Growth Chamber trigger resolve. Alrighty, we finally get to pick up this Cavern of Souls. I guess we'll just play it now. Naming Beast again to fix for our green. And also so that they can't counter it. Or the Hydroid Crisis that we're gonna eventually cast once we top deck it. Convenient that Crisis happens to have flying as well, so it also blocks their Shredders. And DRCs. Man, I'm dying over here. Expressive Iteration, you got it. Absolutely fine with me. This is also why we play so many bounce lands, by the way, is because we're trying to get up to 7 mana, and that is not easy to do. Like, we have double bounce land here, and it's letting us get up to 5. But, like, we still want to top deck another bounce land if we can. And then more bounce lands after that for Colossus purposes. So, just having, like, 12 bounce lands is perfectly reasonable in this deck. It's hilarious, but it's true. Plus, we get to draw so many cards with Crisis that, you know, we'll have things to do. Alrighty, well, DRC is the thing that they can have, I suppose. We're swinging out. Boom. Clock. We can potentially force their channeler to attack and then have lethal through this endurance, so that is if they cast anything pre-combat. Because it does have a must-attack clause there. Who's the aggro deck now? That's right, we are. Shredder. Sure. That will be assigned to chump blocking duty. Swift Spear. I think we're supposed to dismember the Shredder right now. Oh, that's right, we get to pay for the... We get to pay with the Dryad. Beautiful. You don't even have to take life to it. We should have tapped the Simic for both, though. Oh, no, I got distracted by the value, dude. That was awful. I mean, we're still in good shape, but... it's whatever. Now they only have to trump with one, but, you know, it's whatever. They mill away Spell Pierce. Love to see it. Ah, they have to attack with the Channeler. Dude, if we could cast this Endurance, they'd be so dead. Well, I mean, we're gonna start by attacking, I guess. They have to block one. Okay. We could just play Colossus. They dart the... Alright, well, let's see what they mill over here. If they want to kill our Endurance, they have to flashback dart here, so... I think we're casting Colossus here so that we have Endurance in case our opponent draws Magus. Why did they target the Endurance again? They should have targeted me. It's whatever. Yeah. That happens. In fact, we actually want them to attack with this Channeler, so we don't want to Endurance this turn anyways, so we're just gonna play Colossus now. Definitely making our Colossus uncounterable for the beats. Yeah, we're quite far ahead this game. Oh, I guess... no. Sorry. They still have Swift Spear, but it's like, whatever. They have to attack with the Channeler, so they're in pretty bad shape here. Another Swift Spear. So they're not technically dead. I think they might still be dead. They block here, chump here, cast a spell, They have to cast 2 spells with a Swift Spear to not be dead to trample, and we have to not top deck a land to punish them. Valakut just kills them too, so... Ha! Hydroid Krasis. Yeah, we'll max out on that one. Try to draw this land that we're missing. Dude, there's no way they can beat this. 0% chance they can beat this. And we hit the land. And of course, we're playing out our lands here because that makes Colossus more lethal than it already is. It is now a 6/6 creature. So they have to chump, block here, and cast... what, 3 spells? I don't think that's possible, opponent. I guess they could have exactly Lava Dart plus Mutagenic... No, Mutagenic Growth does throw a wrench in our plans no matter how we look at it, but... Krasis doing what it does, of course, and we win the match. Alrighty, the record is now updated, and though my voice is absolutely killing me, I'm actually just having enough fun that I just want to play another match, so here we go. Alrighty, we'll hop in here for the last match I'm going to be able to play today. I think my voice will actually just give out if I keep doing this. Ooh, this hand really, really wants a bounce land. We have an amulet, so we can always search for Expedition map. Or we can just top deck one of our 12 bounce lands. Well, this is a great chance to use the Hypergeometric Calculator. I'll see you in 1 sec. Alrighty, we're here with StatTrek's Hypergeometric Calculator, and this will tell us exactly how likely we are to draw a bounce land from our 53 cards. There are 12 of them in the deck, 4 Sanctuaries, 4 Simics, and 4 Gruuls. We would like to, let's say in the top 2 cards, we want to find at least 1 bounce land. Let's see what the probability on that is. Ooh, the probability of drawing 1 or more is about 40. So it's a little worse than a 50-50 chance. But, I mean, in the fail case, we can still get map and just hope we draw any land, and that's a much higher probability, so I'm going to keep it. Alright, our opponent has let on Swamp. Hey, we hit the bounce land! We got lucky this time. Playing out the Amulet, and hoping our opponent doesn't play Prismatic Ending. If they play Godless Shrine, Prismatic Ending, I'm going to be sad. Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Is this the, Urborg deck? My apologies, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but... the, Cabal Coffers and Urborg combo deck. So... Oh, why did I play out Grazer? I did not mean to do that. Oops. That was a complete waste. Oh my gosh, what just happened? That was so dumb. I just clicked the wrong card. I meant to play Azusa. I was about to talk about how we're going to shock in Breeding Pool and then play Valakut so that we don't trigger Amulet in case they have a kill spell. And then that happened, so now we're just passing, I guess. And we've wasted a Grazer for no value. That's great. We love that. I guess if they play Liliana, then we get absolutely rewarded because they could have made us sacrifice Azusa. See, it was just a big brain play. They marched the Azusa. Okay. And now we're exactly 1 short of casting Cultivator. Oh, no, we have double Amulet, so we're actually just Gucci. We are all good here. We're absolutely killing it and going off. And we even have Grazer. Okay, sorry. So we're back. So we're going to play our Grazer out and then the Colossus, so we have mana floating. I guess we're going to have... That was dumb. I let a stupid phone call distract me and everything, too. Oh, well. Because we're about to float a ton of mana with Colossus. So it probably won't matter anyways, but... I guess we win. Our opponent has had enough of us not casting spells, I guess. I don't know. That was a very strange set of circumstances. And against them... I guess we want Boseiju in case they have Karn the Great Creator. Cavern doesn't seem to matter. Although it does fix for Krasis, so it's like actually good fixing, but... I think that's about it. Like, we could have Force, but I'm not really interested. We could have Hearse, but I don't think it matters. Endurance is an extra threat, but Krasis is just way better at that, so there's really no need for Endurance, just for threat purposes. So yeah, we'll just run it. Our opponent was done with it. They didn't want to see our Colossus turn anyways, so we were fretting over nothing. We get to go turn 1 Grazer, turn 2 Explorer, and have an eventual Hydroid Crisis. I'm going to keep it. Hopefully we can top deck another one of those bounce lands, or any blue source really, but... Inquisition, sure. I guess, I don't know what they take here. Maybe just the Crisis? Or maybe Explore? Those are the options that make the most sense to me. They take Grazer. I mean, that slows us down, but if we top deck a land like that, then, you know, it's kind of pointless, but that's okay. We'll lead on Boseiju since they don't know about the Vestige, and then we'll just play Explore next turn. They might choose to use this turn to cast a 2-drop instead of, you know, take our Explorer with a discard spell. Or they might cast a discard spell anyways, and now they're forced to choose. If they knew that we had played Vestige out, then they might have chosen whether or not they want to even cast a discard spell here. Dryad. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and put our bounce land into play. Our Crumbling Vestige will eventually fix us for Crisis, so it's something that's coming down the pipe eventually. Castle Lochthwain, Dalthy. Dalthy's kind of scary, not going to lie. Grazer. Huh. So, we're definitely playing Dryad here. The question is, are we playing the Crumbling Vestige or not? If our Dryad survives, we have Crisis mana, but otherwise, we don't. Crisis would only draw us 1 card on X equals 2 anyways. I think it's worth the risk to get the land into play. Do we play out Grazer? I think we do, just to play around Liliana of the Veil. If Liliana upticks, we'll pitch Summoners Pact and hopefully top deck a land that lets us Crisis for a lot of value. Can't block their shadow creature, so we will not. Land. That's a great land to draw. And now we get to play Crisis on X equals 3, which is better than... I mean, it still only draws us 1 card, but still better than what we were planning for it, so our gamble did pay off. One nice thing about the Dalthy is that if they kill Crisis, they can't like get any value off of it. Valakut's a good one. So we have hit Colossus mana now, but we're probably just going to pack for another Crisis anyways. We are definitely winning the race now. Got a 3/3 creature that cantripped us into the land that we needed. What is this? What is this card? Kolfinor's Plans. 4-mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile the top 7 cards of the library. You may look at the cards exiled with it, and you may play lands and cast spells from among those cards. Skip your draw step. You can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Hey, yo, what? I'm okay with this as 4-mana sorcery, do nothing. What in the world? I've never seen this card before. And we drew the Colossus, too. We don't get the untap land to play the Colossus, so I guess we're just packing for Crisis. Let's attack first and see what happens. I definitely want to put something on the board here. Just continue to increase the pressure. I guess they could have Damnation, potentially. We're supposed to play around Damnation here. Definitely playing the Valakut. Crisis for X equals 2 seems like a good choice to me. And if they Damnation, we pay... I don't know, it will slow us down quite a bit. I mean, it's debatable. I think I'm going for it, but you don't necessarily have to here. And of course, we're making blue with the Dryad ability, so we're good. If they have Damnation, they have it. Yep, we hit more lands. This Valakut lets us kill this Dalthy, which is valuable. Honestly, any land would have been good enough there, but yeah, we'll pass. And we win. Okay, well, good enough for me, I guess. I guess Kolfinor's plans didn't really pan out, huh? Kolfinor didn't plan quite well enough. Anyways, that means we are now 2-1, which is a great comeback from having lost the first match, and my voice is about to die. I feel like I'm about to cough every time I start talking, so I will see you guys in the next time I choose to record in about 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, I'm back the next day. We are here to finish out the last 2 matches here. Also, I just want to take a second to mention, I don't know if this is the kind of content that you guys are interested in, just kind of wacky or crazy off the wall amulet ideas. Like, definitely nobody asked for my opinion on whether or not Amulet is playable without Primeval Titan, and so I don't know if you guys are interested in watching this, but let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see this kind of content. And hopefully we can finish out strong here. We get a the classic all lands Hydroid Crisis hand. The bad thing is I'm kind of tempted to keep this, but like we're not gonna be playing Crisis until turn 3, so it's definitely mulligan. And even then, we'd only be making a 1/1 and drawing 0 cards. So obviously, we get immediately rewarded with the almost the nuts. We're just missing a single threat here, pretty much. We're gonna keep. I'm kind of tempted to bottom an amulet to make sure we have additional lands to go with the Colossus. That's probably wrong. I think it's probably right to just bottom Valakut here. Sadly, we'd like to draw any threat. I guess Hydroid Crisis would be the best thing here. And can go ahead and safely put Cavern on Beast, since we're going to be able to play Azusa and Dryad on turn 2 here, so we don't even have to put the extra amulet in play if we don't want to. So we're going to name Beast for obvious reasons, like Amulet Pass. Aether Vial and Island. This feels like bad news to me. Well, I mean, we're definitely playing out another amulet before they draw Force of Vigor, I suppose. And I guess we'll play out our creatures to get underneath counterspell, since they are probably playing a sort of tempo merfolk list that I believe Imahayashi popularized. That's what I'm expecting here. Sadly, we don't have the combo here, although our opponent might just concede, assuming that we have more things to do. That has happened in the past, but wouldn't be appropriate here for sure. Maybe I should just make these actions a little slower and bore our opponent to death. They'll just get frustrated and be like, ugh, I don't want to play the rest of this game. They clearly have it, so. But we clearly don't, so we'll just play our double 3-drop turn 2 and pass and just hope we draw something good, I guess. Even if we lose our Dryad somehow, we'd still be able to cast Crisis thanks to the Cavern fixing for blue for Crisis, so. Crisis would be a fantastic draw at this point. Probably better than Colossus, which is crazy. Well, there's a Colossus, though. I mean, we're gonna do it, right? I'm gonna save as many land drops as we possibly can here for after the Colossus, since it is possible you'd, like, draw an amulet or something, but, I mean, admittedly, we only are drawing 1 land here, so, or drawing from 1 land, so, I guess we could potentially chain into, like, a Tolarios or something, though. It's still probably correct not to play out more land drops than we have to. And I am going to go ahead and make this Colossus uncounterable. There's probably no real reason to, but I'm going to leave green floating because green matters and white doesn't. I don't think we have any use for the white mana at all, so uncounterable Colossus to cantrip our Sanctuary into anything. More lands is fine. Not going to pay. Hey, Crisis! That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, well, you know, this worked out perfectly. That's great. And I don't think I'm playing around a 0-mana counterspell for our Crisis here. The thing that they're most likely to have, honestly, is just Subtlety, and that won't even do anything here. So we're just casting a gigantic Hydroid Crisis and refilling our hand and just, you know, going absolutely nuts. It's great. Are you ready for this, opponent? We literally chained into exactly Crisis. That's insane. Like I said, Crisis is really the most impressive, in my opinion, in this list. Just gonna go all in with this Crisis. As much life and mana as possible and cards, and just go ham. Go nuts. I'm gonna keep the bounce land in hand, I think. Actually, that might have been wrong, since we're probably about to draw like a billion cards and find more land drops, but, you know, it's whatever. 17! X equals 17 with this Hydroid Crisis. That's pretty good. Does that mean we're drawing 8 cards? Oh my gosh. Alright, your turn. Oh wait, we get to attack. I forgot about that. And they concede. Well, you know what? That's just how we drew it up. It was just exactly what was supposed to happen all the time. So I assume Dismember is going to be good against our opponent. They have to have creatures if they're playing Aether Vial, right? Do we want Boseiju? They could have Chalice of the Void as well, so Boseiju is defensible. And hitting their turn 1 Vial could be relevant. Cavern seems pretty good, unless they're just going to sell TS. Unlicensed Hearse probably doesn't matter. Endurance is interesting, but I don't know. Maybe Endurance is worth it. I don't know. Explorer doesn't seem that great. Trim 1 Summoner's Pack due to Chalice. Cultivator's good. Azusa is probably fine. Saga is going to be weak to Spreading Seas or the little merfolk dude who kills Saga. I forget the name, but you know what I'm talking about. Maybe we don't need Breeding Pool if we've got additional caverns. I'm pretty okay with that. And if we're trimming Saga, I feel like we can trim Map pretty easily. Maybe one Colossus can go. I feel like Krasis is better here, but, I mean, Colossus just goes way over the top, so maybe it's fine. Maybe having 3 Boseijus is a bit much, but we can trim 1 Sanctuary, although I don't love it, if I'm being completely honest. Gotta still cut 2 cards. I have no clue. I guess Zeus is good for baiting out counterspells. Maybe we only want 2 Endurances, and we'll just keep 2 Boseijus, and we'll call it a day. I kind of feel like we could cut a Cultivator, but, you know, it's whatever. Cultivator is bad against Subtlety, but Hydra Krasis is not, so we get to play turn 1 Grazer into Saga, turn 2 activate the Saga. Seems pretty good, and we have Cavern to play through counter magic, so hopefully they don't kill our Saga, but, I mean, we're definitely not mulliganing this, so Minamo. Azusa. I mean, that's a fine pickup. Not the best, but do we just go ahead and put Cavern on Beast? I guess that's a little premature. I think I'm on the Crumbling Vestige for green plan here. I think that's the best play. That way we can play Cavern untapped and be able to activate Saga at instant speed rather than having to main phase it. Or just play Boseiju. We'd like to keep Boseiju in hand if we can, but we only have 2 Summoners Packs and a single Talaria West. So, like, Cavern's not Cavern. Chalice is not a huge deal, to be honest. Speaking of Cavern, now they have their own on Merfolk, of course. Tideshaper. Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about that we would just hope that they didn't have. You know, is what it is. Are we playing on the Gruul Turf yet? We could still draw an Amulet. Krasis is good. If we play Gruul Turf, then we can play Endurance at instant speed next turn, or just play Azusa. I feel like it's not as great if we do happen to top deck an Amulet, but it's probably the right play to just get it out of the way. Yep, that's why we trim Sagas, but we still managed to draw one of them and get punished. Although, to be fair, we did completely play into the Tideshaper, but, you know. Sylvian. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. We're not going to be hitting their Merfolk anyways. So I guess we're playing Azusa this turn and playing the Krasis for value next turn. So we can play Cavern on Beast here. Play Azusa. And play Verdant Crumbling, I guess. This lets us keep the Boseiju in hand in case we decide we need it. This is just a channel, which we don't want to do, so yeah, we'll just pass. Hopefully our Krasis gets us back into this game, sort of. They're going to be drawing a card every time they attack with Sylvian, though, so... Svealoon? Svealoon? I don't know how to pronounce that. I think I've heard other people pronounce it Svealoon. So I keep calling it Sylvian. That's definitely incorrect. We'll just take the 3 for now. Grazer might do better things in the future. Not gonna fetch, because we could potentially draw a land and be happy with that. Now are we dismembering the Svealoon? Or, let's see, we have 4 mana. we can either draw an extra card and gain an extra life off Krasis when we cast it, or we can dismember, but not both. I guess if we Krasis into any untapped source or bounce land, then that lets us cast Dismember also. I think I'm all in on this Krasis, to be honest. We'll fetch. I guess the Krasis also blocks Sveilun. It doesn't stop them from drawing a card. Wait. We definitely want the uncounterable mana here. Actually, that is kind of debatable, but yeah. The extra card and life and the point of toughness and power on the Krasis probably should matter, so. Any untap land or bounce land lets us dismember anyways, so. Oh, we hit both of them. And so I'm going to put the Force into play and dismember at instant speed, and we're not going to waste our Simic Growth Chamber here. It's other Merfolk, yeah, so we can kill the Sveilun. Sveilun, I think that's correct. Okay, they're going to tap and lose all abilities, one of our creatures. Sure. Okay. I think we're supposed to dismember now, since they can't have double blue for counterspell up. They could have Force of Negation, potentially, but this is the right time to do it, so. Also, whether it had Indestructible or not does not matter, because its toughness is reduced down to 0, and it's put into the graveyard due to state-based effects. So that's why we didn't have to worry about whether it was indestructible or not. Because technically there, they had 2 Merfolk, but it doesn't matter, because it's state-based actions killing the Sveilun, not the Dismember, believe it or not, so. And they draw with Waterlogged Grove, sure. Now, if we can just draw a Colossus, we'll be in pretty good shape. Or another Hydroid Krasis. It's definitely true that our threats don't really just win the game on their own at this point, so definitely blocking the Tide Shaper with the Grazer, that's for sure. I think we just take the others, though. Is there a reason to keep this Azusa in play? I guess if we'd have to top deck, like, Dryad and Valakut or something like that for it to be relevant. I guess we might as well just block now. Although we can team block with the Endurance and the Azusa to potentially kill something, even if they get another Lord into play, so I guess we'll just wait. There's really no reason to do anything else. Another Krasis. Growth Chamber. I mean, okay. Well, again, we want to play around Counterspell here. I guess we can do that by resetting Cavern and still be able to flash in Endurance, but if we put Cavern on Elemental, they'll see it coming anyways. Or we could just assume they don't have Counterspell if they kick up the Mutavault, but that's not a great assumption. We definitely want to play the Growth Chamber. I think we're resetting the Cavern and making them have to call the bluff, and we can reset Cavern again if we have to. We'll name Incarnation here, I guess, or I guess Elemental's a little less obvious, and we'll hold on to this Growth Chamber for now. Do we attack with the Hydroid? I feel like we probably don't. There's really no reason to. This way, they have to tap down the Krasis with the Trickster if they have one. If they want to get in for attacks, that is. I mean, we're kind of stonewalling their attacks with this Krasis here. Another Krasis, again, would just end the game on the spot, pretty much. It would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if we play out the Simic. So, yep, there's another Lord effect. So it's a good thing we kept our Azusa back. My bad. There's 2 more where that came from. Okay. What are they attacking with here? They're attacking with one of the Lords, so we'll definitely trade there. Let's go ahead and cast this Endurance, I suppose. And I don't think we want to shuffle either of us. We don't really want to draw these cards, and there's no reason to put a Sveilun back in their deck, so we're going to be able to get this Lord out of play, regardless of whether they have a dismember for one of our creatures or not. I guess if they have dismember and they wait until after we block, then they can save the Lord, but let's just not target with the endurance. Alright, and blocks will block the Lord here. And I guess we double block the Tide Shaper, and then chump this Lord. I mean, this is going to take all of our creatures out of play and leave them with a board state. It's not really the best. Gonna leave them with a Lord, no, 2 Lords, the Trickster, 2 Lords and a Trickster on board, and we'll have just an Azusa to chump. We'll have to draw something. I mean, we really have no other way to block. Yeah, I think this is the method. Of course, they're killing the Endurance. Alright, we need another Hydroid Crisis. That's what we're looking for. Valcut. Yeah, it's not really doing anything, is it? We chump here. I guess we're not technically dead, so we want to play out all of our land drops. In case we do top deck a Crisis. And hold on to the Cavern, I guess, in case we top deck a Colossus, just so we can get a single card draw, but I don't know, maybe playing the land drops is wrong. This is fine. Yeah, maybe resetting the Cavern, but leaving the Valcut in hand would have been better for Colossus purposes, but... Oh, Mutavault. No, we're just dead. I missed that. Yep, alright, well... Huh. Need to draw more Crises, I guess. Endurance does seem pretty good here, so we'll keep that. And the Summoner's Pact to help us find more Crisis or Colossus seems good. Azusa's not super fantastic, although it wasn't bad there. Explore's a little slow. Saga's definitely bad when they have Tide Shapers, so we can trim the rest of these, I think. And have our Boseiju and extra bounce land. Do we just trim the remaining Azusa? I don't hate that. We'll go like this. Didn't see any counterspells yet, but maybe they had them and could never use them because we had Cavern. There's no way to know. We've got Dismember and Crisis galore and Colossus. No bounce lands, no amulet. I feel like we kind of have to mulligan this. Oh, there we go. This is... Oh, man, we don't have an untapped land. This would have been great, except for the fact that all of these are bounce lands. I guess we're going again. I mean, I guess we're keeping this. Then mulligan to 6. I mean, on our 5, we could find, like, land, amulet, bounce land. An amulet, bounce land. A ramp spell, like Dryad, and a threat. And that would be a better 5 than this, I think. I think we have to mulligan again. There we go. Alright, so now what do we want here? We got the ramp spell. Colossus is not our best threat. Okay, we trim the... Maybe it's just Colossus and Summoner's Pact, and we just hope to top deck a threat? Colossus is not a fantastic threat here, unfortunately. Let's see, we play turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 Vestige? I don't know. Or turn 1 Grazer in Vestige, play Amulet, turn 2 have Sanctuary. I don't know. I feel like Cultivator is one of the things that we put back, and I guess just Summoner's Pact. I think it just has to be that, unfortunately. We're just never going to draw a threat this way. Like, do we have to bottom Forest, maybe? And draw a land and... Just try to draw lands this way? Oh, we have to put 3 cards back. Oh, my goodness. Well, I think we're keeping this, then. This Grazer's not doing much, though. Maybe putting the Grazer back is better. We just really have no way to get ahead with this hand. Well, lead on Amulet and pass. They Tide Shaper. Sure. Crisis is a good one. So if we were to Sanctuary, pick up Vestige, float 3, down to 2 Grazer, put in Vestige, float... I mean, we wouldn't have blue and green if we did that. Since we have to use the green to cast Grazer, and then Grazer has to put in Vestige, which only makes a blue, so we can't actually do anything yet. So we'll pass. And Crisis on 2 would not be super useful here, but if we draw another Amulet, then we can Crisis. I don't know for how much, but Cavern. Okay, we can play this naming Beast. And then next turn we'll have Crisis online. For 5 mana, so it'll be X equals 3. I mean, we could also still just continue to wait. This is going to be a really hard game to win on the mull to 4. For some reason, I thought we were mulling to 5. Sveiloon. Okay. Vestige. Well, this lets us leave the Sanctuary in play if we want to. Vestige floating a green. Leave 3. Grazer out. Sanctuary up to 5. Still a Crisis on 3 here. If we play the Vestige, the next turn we'll have Sanctuary, Grazer, Crisis for X equals like 4, I think. 5, 6, yeah, X equals 4. And we'll draw 2 cards. I think that's better. I mean, we're gaining an extra 1 life, but potentially taking 2 damage we could have blocked otherwise. Even if they have a Lord. Oh, plus the Grazer block. Is the extra card worth it? I feel like it has to be, unfortunately. Oh, wait. I want to play this Vestige out. That would have been a bit of a disaster. Now we pass. Now, whether we pick up the Sanctuary or not, I'm not sure. 5, 6, yeah. Also, we kind of are just... Oh, well, we don't have to hope that our Crisis will resolve because we have Cavern, so there's the Master. Definitely taking a chunk of damage here, but not much we can do about this otherwise. Amulet would be our best top deck. And they do have Counterspell mana up. Another Crisis, huh? Well, here goes nothing. And I guess we're keeping the bounce land in hand. Hopefully we haven't waited too long on this Crisis. Although, to be fair, I don't think that anything else we could have done would have gotten us there. Although, knowing we're drawing a second Crisis, which there's no way we can know, maybe casting the other Crisis earlier would have been better, but... You know. If we pick up the Vestige, that means we get to play Crisis for 4 next turn. Whereas if we pick up the Sanctuary, that means we're playing Crisis for 3 instead. So I guess we're supposed to pick up the Vestige, but I don't love it. It's going to be pretty hard to come back from this game. If possible at all. Well, the third Crisis definitely does help. That I will say. We could still just be dead here. If they have the little flash dude. Yeah. Gross. So we block this, take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we're just dead. Well, that's unfortunate. Couldn't really do much to avoid this, unfortunately. Let me know if you think I should have just cast Crisis a turn earlier, but... Anyways, that makes us 2-2. Very unfortunate, having to mull to 4 in Game 3 there. Really threw a wrench in our plans, but... Regardless, we still have one more match to see if we can end up going 3-2 and get our entire league value back, or if we'll end up a measly 2-3, which would be a little unfortunate, but I mean, let's be honest, we're playing an experimental deck here for fun anyways, so I'm just trying to make this content for you guys, and hopefully you enjoy it, and whether win or lose, I still think it'll be worth the experience. So, if you made it this far, thank you. Let me know in the comments below that you got this message. Alrighty, let's hop in here for the final match. Hopefully we don't get paired against the mirror. That's all I'm hoping for. Well, we got a turn 1 Grazer, turn 2 Dryad kind of hand. We've got multiple bounce lands to go with it, so we're definitely going to keep. Cavern fixing our mana perfectly here. Spirebluff Canal. That's a land that we want to see, to be fair, so we'll go ahead and put down our Grazer here. We'll put in this Gruul Turf. And swing it back to them. Get to Cavern down a Dryad, then pick up the Cavern, and then have a Cavern down a Cultivator. And we drew the third bounce land, which is why we're playing so many of them, is because of exactly the situation. They're obviously holding up Counterspell, but guess who cares? No one, that's right. Uncounterable Dryad into play. Let's go. Take that, opponent. We'll play Simic here, so we have blue mana in play. As if it really matters, since we have Caverns, but, you know. I mean, the curve that we've got going on here is literally perfect, so. Hopefully we explore into another bounce land, so our Colossus can go mad. Oh no, Breeding Pool and Waker of Waves. This is Living End? Well, that's not great news. And unfortunately, we're like 3 cards away from just pitching Cultivator Colossus to a draw step, so don't think that's going to be feasible here. I guess we need to draw as many cards as possible with this Cultivator. Summoner's Pact. That potentially lets us Krasis. We could Krasis for 4 here and draw 2 cards, or we could just explore. I think I like exploring here better. They can force a negation this if they want to. Amulet. Okay. Amulet is good. That means we don't have to play out any lands this turn at all. We can play Amulet, pass, and the next turn go Sanctuary, Sanctuary, Cultivator, put like 3 lands into play at least. So that's pretty good. Are we supposed to wait on the Amulet until the turn we plan on going off with it? What's the likelihood our opponent just like cycles, then untaps and Living Ends our Dryad away? Because that is possible. I think because of that possibility, we're supposed to play out one of the Caverns. And I think we have to play out the Amulet, so we'll Cavern on Beast here, although they're probably not playing counterspells. We'll play our Amulet, see if they want to counter it, and we'll pass. So even if they Living End us, it is still technically possible for us to have a Dryad plus Colossus, depending on what we draw from the Colossus. Because we can pack for Dryad and play it after our Colossus floats us a bunch of mana. They're paying costs right now. Are they just gonna... They're just outbursting right now, just for the 2 creatures, huh? That's kind of wild, but, you know, who am I to judge? We have another land drop this turn because of the Explore. Well, we have 4 mana down to 1 with a Zeusa, up to 5. So we can't do anything here. Do we want to play out the Cavern? I don't think so. More cards off Colossus is going to be better, so we'll just go there. See what happens. Probably pick up the Simic with our Sanctuary trigger to flow as much blue mana as possible. In case we draw a Hydroid Krasis, I suppose. Are we supposed to pack for a creature before we Colossus here? Another bounce land's actually fantastic. Okay, well, we're gonna Colossus here and see how it goes. And we'll definitely pick up a bounce land here. It is technically possible for our Summoner's Pact to get forced here, so... Although, I guess that doesn't matter if we just draw another Summoner's Pact, so... We'll put in bounce land, bounce land... Oh, we just drew the Dryad, too. We'll put Cavern on Beast, I guess. Crisis as well. Well, we didn't find any more lands, unfortunately, but we have things we can do here. Including possibly casting another Colossus is 5 down to 2 up to 6. We could pact. No. We don't have the mana, unfortunately, to cast a second Colossus because we'd have to pact for the Colossus. I think we're just picking up double balance land here as well. I'm pretty okay with that. So we'll play Azusa, land, Crisis for 4. I guess so. We'll keep Dryad in hand, I suppose. This might potentially be a waste of a Crisis, but since we can pack for a Colossus, I'm pretty okay with it. I guess if they force our Summoner's Pact, then we'll be pretty sad, but... We could also just play out the Dryad instead of the Crisis here. Crisis for 4 and drawing 2 cards seems pretty good, though. It also lets us block the Street Wraith favorably, which I guess we're already doing with the Colossus. No, it's a 3-4. He still blocks. Nah, let's cancel. I think it's better to just play the Dryad. And we'll call it quits there. This way, if they living end us again, then we'll get a Dryad back from the grave, and we'll have Crisis in hand to refill, even if they had a force for our Summoner's Pact, so... And I guess during this turn, if we wanted to, we could pact on their Instap and pay for it, and still be able to Colossus. That way they'd have to tap out for force, and couldn't, like... I don't know, do anything during our turn. We'll have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana if we do that, which would probably be enough. Oh, Swamp Block. Oh, we play the Dryads, now we can't block. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Oops. At this point, we just need to find a Valakut. Or, you know, make our Colossus gigantically huge. And since we have a Dryad on board and in graveyard, that means that when we cast a Colossus, no matter what they do, they can't stop us from getting Valakut triggers if we happen to find a Valakut, so... Shardless. Okay. Okay. And now we have a Crisis that can block the Curator. Let's not put in a land with the Grazer here. And they can look at our top 3 cards. Not that it will matter. And now if we pack on their Instap, we get guaranteed Colossus. Since they can't force it during their own turn. So I think that's probably what we want to do. Just go ahead and get Colossus now. And I guess our best draw is another land of any kind. Just literally any land. Grazer is not bad. Alright, let's play Colossus here, I guess. And see how many lands we can hit. I guess the Grazer's actually letting us cast our Colossus here, so that's good. Since we don't have Azusa in play. So Grazer was actually a fantastic top deck, and I just didn't even realize it. We'll float an uncounterable mana for Colossus, because why not? And we'll see what our Colossus can spin and hit us. We get 2 fresh new cards, and hopefully a bunch more lands off the top of our deck. Hopefully. And just keeping these bounce lands in hand means that every time our opponent living ends, we just get to Colossus again and again and again. So it's not looking fantastic for them. We just have to be not dead. And Grazer blocks the Curator. Plus, if we can get a Giant Krasis into play, then obviously we'll be able to deal with Curator pretty easily. Alright, lands. Yes, more bounce lands is fantastic. More Krasis is fine too. This is what we wanted. And Valakut! Yes! Oh my gosh, we are doing it! We are absolutely doing it. This is insane. Cool. Seems good. Seems pretty decent, I would say. I am sending all of these Valakut triggers at our opponent's face, by the way. Man, there's too many triggers, and they concede. There's too many triggers to deal with here. I accidentally stacked a Crumbling Vestige when I wasn't supposed to. Okay, well, that was pretty convincing. We'll bring in the Hearse and Endurance, and I think that's it. We don't really care for these cards. Alright, against them, Krasis is not super fantastic, although it is better against Subtlety. Explorer is just weak to Force of Negation, and them forcing an Explorer is actually not that bad, so Cavern doesn't really matter, although it does fix for Krasis. We don't have Bog, not that it would do anything, but just something to note. We want to trim on Sagas, because they just died to our opponent's Forces and Foundation Breakers. In fact, maybe we don't want Saga at all. I'm pretty okay with that, and we'll just keep a Cavern instead. Boseiju. I guess Boseiju is better than a random Cavern, at least the second Boseiju, since it can just kill like an Architects or something. We'll go like this. Now we have Endurances to mess with our opponent's plan. We can just go to discard and pitch this Cultivator Colossus as well, which is exactly what we're going to do with this hand. Down to 7. I think on the draw here, we can still play a land, and on turn 2, play a bounce land, pick up a land, and pitch Colossus. So we have 8 cards. We play a land. We pass. We draw up to 8, play bounce land, down to 7, pick up the land that's in play, up to 8, and then still be able to pitch Colossus. So this should be fine. I guess it's a weak to them having exactly the discard dude. Grief. I guess if they grief us, it's not... Is that the worst thing? I think we're just going to pass and pitch the Cultivator, to be honest. Instead of trying to get value with our 1 extra land, let's just put this Cultivator in the yard, and then we can even Endurance them when they try to go for the combo. By the way, I'd like to shout out Mistaken for teaching me this particular tactic against Living In. The benefit of playing 4 Cultivator Colossuses in your deck is you can just go ahead and pitch Cultivator on turn 1 a surprisingly large number of times in your games against Living End. I've done this against Living End multiple times since I started playing this list, so... Yeah, I'll put this Cultivator Colossus in the graveyard. Seems pretty good. I'll take it. Alright, and now we get to put our Grazer into play. And we'll put in a bounce land so we can hardcast Endurance. Put in Gruul Turf, I guess. Honestly, Gruul Turf and Sanctuary are both kind of equally useless here. The reason I had Gruul Turfs originally is because of Hanweir, but now the deck plays literally nothing that's red, so... Honestly, if we could play 12 Simic Growth Chambers, we would. I guess we don't want to yield here. We might want to pitch Endurance here. Oh, they're letting us get to Endurance hardcasting mana. You know what that means. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So we now have Endurance flashing mana up. Who needs Primeval Titan to win matches? You know what I mean? Let's just pitch Cultivator Colossus and win that way. Honestly, right now is not a bad time to Endurance them, but... Because the longer we wait, the more likely they are to just have Subtlety. Alright, we'll let them put the living in on the stack, and then we'll flash an endurance. Got him. I don't really know why they're doing this living in right now anyways, though. Unless this is lethal and I'm missing it. Yeah, they have the subtlety. I mean, we can't not cast the endurance there, right? At least we get to draw a bunch of cards and put a bunch of lands into play with Colossus. And we lose our poor Grazer. What are we doing with this endurance? I guess we're bottoming it because we want more lands on top. I guess if they Architects of Will to put a bunch of lands on top, then that's actually good for our Colossus, so... We've got our first Colossus trigger on turn 3 here. We didn't do any ramping at all. In fact, we skipped the whole turn. Seems pretty good. Start with our bounce lands, I suppose. We will not pay the life here. More lands is just always good. And we'll name Beast with our Krasis, I guess. Alright, we've had all of our fun, unfortunately. Pick up a bounce land. Pick up... Maybe it's double bounce land. Since we can pack for another Colossus. And probably still cast it. We pick up this, we have 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down to 5, up to 7, yeah. So we, assuming our amulet resolves, we can get another Colossus into play, but... Oh, plus we have Grazer and Azusa to help with that as well. But that is assuming the amulet resolves, which it might not. I guess if amulet doesn't resolve, we can just cast Krasis instead anyways. I think I would rather just pick up a regular land, though, at this point. Pick up the Vernon Catacombs. This doesn't look like lethal damage. Unless I can't count. Got a 4/5 Colossus. Ready to block, too. Block. I'll block it. I guess if we had evoked our Endurance, we would have been getting back Endurance. To block. Like, intentionally evoking it. But then we wouldn't have the Grazer or the Krasis. One of the two, so... Which maybe would have been fine, I don't know. See our opponent go to combat here. We'll block the Street Wraith, I guess. Since the Swamp Walk could eventually get us. We're down to 3. Well, I guess we'd have to win now. Or gain a bunch of life and stabilize. Alright, well, we'll start with the amulet and see if it resolves. Resolves. Summoner's Pact. Does this one resolve? Oh, now they force. Okay. Well, we'll play a big Hydroid Krasis and a Grazer and an Azusa and just hope that it's good enough, I guess. Not much to say here. Is it better to play 2 mini Hydroid Krasises? That way we have separate blockers. Definitely keeping Bounce Land in hand here, I think. So we have 6, 8, 9, 10 mana. We could play 2 Colossuses on... 2 Krasises on 3. If we play 1 Colossus on 8, we can block the Waker. On 8, we'll gain 4. We can chump block 1 flyer, block, take 3. I think playing 1 massive Colossus, 1 massive Krasis is probably fine. Wait, we want to use the uncounterable just to be certain. I guess what happens if they subtlety this? They didn't subtlety the Azusa or the Grazer. If they subtlety this, we chump the Waker with Azusa, block a flyer, block Colossus and still gain the life. I think this is probably fine. Krasis for 8 seems good. Endurance. Sure. Unfortunately, I don't think we can afford to attack with Colossus here. So we attack, we block here, chump, take 3. But if they have anything to tap or kill one of our dudes, like a Fire and Ice, then we get kind of owned. I think we can attack next turn. We don't have to pay for Pact this upcoming turn either, so our next Krasis is going to be even more insane. And with Endurance ready to go, that means that another Living End doesn't bother us that much. Okay. Interesting. Our Colossus is 4/5. Alright, we'll chump the 4 flying and just eat up this 3/3 for sure. Do we want to kill the Waker? I guess we kind of want to induce our opponent to go for another Living End so we can Endurance them, so this is probably fine. Just take the 3. This seems fine. Although, I guess we don't particularly want them Living End our board right now, but I think it's fine. Shardless, sure. At least we get our Endurance back. So we'll evoke pitching Dryad, I guess. And we'll Endurance them. I guess we're gonna Endurance them again, just to get the 2 creatures out. And I guess we do want to put in our lands here, actually. What is happening? Okay. So we played Growth Chamber, played Giant Krasis. Seems good. Seems pretty good. And if they ever Living End, then they just get absolutely destroyed, so... Pick up a bounce land here, I guess, because at this point our mana doesn't really matter. Just cast a Giant Krasis, why not? Seems great. Krasis on X = 9, cool. We got another Endurance ready to go. Cool beans. Swing 3. Yeah, this game feels pretty in the bag to me. If I'm just being honest. They're now dead on board to Krasis, so... Let's see the Living End. They cycle River Winder. Cycle 2 River Winders. And concede. I guess they can give their Shardless Agent flying if they have that, one card that does that. Easy beans. Win the match. Go 3-2. Alright, the record has been updated. We went 3-2, and to be fair, the one match that we lost earlier because we didn't play out the Amulet in the case that they had 3 Fairy was definitely avoidable. I immediately recognized the mistake, and it's possible we would have ended up 4-1 if not for that one match, which is quite unfortunate. But regardless, I mean, I think going 3-2 with Titanless Amulet Titan, that's pretty crazy. And like I said, I mean, Colossus is great, but let's be real. The card that always has been stealing the show in this deck list is Hydroid Krasis, to the point where I kind of just want to play it in a regular Amulet deck. It's actually that crazy. This was a lot of fun, and I have this Golgari Rot Farm here because I knew I would forget. These Sanctuaries should all be Rot Farms, specifically for the purpose of Dismember. Yeah. I also think a 4th Summoner's Pact is probably worth it. Maybe the Explorer's not really that great. I could see adding a 4th Summoner's Pact and cutting something. I don't really know what, though. Maybe it's just Breeding Pool, but, I mean, we need all of our blue sources for Krasis, so I don't really love that. Azuso is pretty good this entire time, too, so maybe the Talari West isn't really necessary. I don't know. 3rd Valakut seems good. I don't know. The slots are just so tight. I want to add the Summoner's Pact, but I have no clue what to cut, so give me your suggestions in the comments. Maybe it's a Crumbling Vestige. I don't hate that. Trim Crumbling for a pack. Although, honestly, I think Crumbling Vestige is extremely underrated in this deck. I think Vestige kind of helps make it tick, but it's also kind of awkward at times, so I could see making this change. Yeah, didn't get to play Unlicensed Hearse at all, but, you know, it's whatever. Just, you know, just naturally going to discard with Colossus and having Endurance in the deck. Good enough, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I had a ton of fun with this league. Let me know what you would do with this deck list in the comments below. Give me your ideas, because I'm open to them, and like I said, if Titan were to ever get banned, there is definitely still fun to be had with this shell, and so maybe this was a pointless thought exercise, because I don't think that Titan's ever going to get banned, but regardless, let me know if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next league. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.